Hello, and welcome to another episode of Backlog Brain Rot. Today, we are going to be doing a highly anticipated topic, the top 10 games in the Legend of Zelda series. Since both of my usual co-hosts are way too experienced to be on this episode, I've invited two very special guests to help me make the list. Joining me today is the host of Passive Pixels podcast, Edwin.
You would think a person who actually hosts a podcast would be able to not have audio issues, but here we are on our second try.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. And alongside us is the legendary Sean Mason.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm in the presence of two podcast gods.
No.
Yes, I am.
No. The only god here that I recognize is Sean Mason.
Yeah, I agree with that.
No.
And thanks for joining us again. This is Sean's second appearance on the show, and I'm sure you will be on many more as we continue on.
Anytime you need me, I'd be glad to come on. I really love the podcast. You guys have been doing a great job. I really love the top 10 lists. That's like right up my alley.
Well, we definitely appreciate it. We're going to keep up the top 10s. It seems to be, everybody seems to have fun listening to them and complaining about them, which is, part of the fun.
By the way, continuing on, yes, Backlog Brain Rot is actually, it's very enjoyable. It's been getting me through.
Well, that's what we like to hear. And we'll see how mad this episode makes everybody, because this list, it got pretty interesting. I was actually pretty surprised looking at it.
I'm already getting mad at the idea of what it's going to look like.
So before we really get going, I'll quickly reiterate how we make the list here on our show. So the three of us each wrote our own top 10 lists, and then I took the three lists, and the placement on the list is worth points. So the 10th place is worth 1 point, up to the first place being worth 10 points. So I took the three lists, scored them, and then combined them, and then that is how we got our top 10. So remember this, because I'm going to say where each person ranked each game, so you can really know who you should be mad at. So you don't need to tag all three of us when you're mad about one of them. You can just tag that specific person or persons.
Oh, I hope to piss people
Already
off with Skyward Sword.
the many tags.
Yeah. It's a pretty interesting list. I was a little surprised seeing it, I gotta say.
All right, now I already gave the warning one time. I'm going to try and do it again. I prepared a statement. I need to just let Sean know. I love you. I respect you. I apologize for anything I say within the recording.
And I already said it again, but I'll say it again. Likewise to you. I know many people are going to have problems with some of my comments on one of the most beloved Zelda games of all time, but it might not be so beloved to me.
Listen, I just know that as soon as you start slandering Adventures of Link, we're going to have problems.
Oh, of course. I mean, obviously, that game is... Come on, I mean... I'm the only one who hates that game.
Okay, look, now I'm ready to announce it. I'm sorry, Parrott, I'm cutting you out here. Link... Adventures of Link, that's number 1. I'm sorry, everybody. Go home. We're done. It's number 1. I'm sorry, it's peak. Miyamoto, you're wrong.
Well, it is number 1 in something, and that can bring us right to the start. Before we get going, I'm going to quickly mention the 4 main games that I would have qualified for this list that got 0 votes.
Oh.
Number 1 on that list is indeed Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link,
Oh, no.
originally on NES. The others are the original Four Swords game, originally on Game Boy Advance, Phantom Hourglass, originally on DS, and Triforce Heroes, originally on 3DS.
Okay.
Now, did
Two
either
of those
of you...
games are criminally underrated.
Yeah, I was going to say, now, did either of you have any thought of putting any of those on your
One
list?
thing I do have to mention, just because this is something I learned not long ago, Four Swords actually has a port to DS, and they included a single-player version.
Yep, I did play that on there. It is fun. I never considered putting that on my list, but it was a pretty fun game. I will shout out Phantom Hourglass. I think that game is actually pretty good.
Yeah, Phantom Hourglass just missed my top 10. Just missed it. And the original Four Swords, I played it after I played Four Swords Adventure, and I got all the Game Boy. Me and my friends got the Game Boy Link cables, and we played the 4-player mode. It was fun, but definitely Four Swords Adventures was better. And having played that before it, I think it kind of skewed my view. But definitely Phantom Hourglass. Shout out to Phantom Hourglass, because that game was awesome.
Yep, solid game. I played that one and with a port where you could use the buttons, so I enjoyed it even more.
I played with a touchscreen back in the day.
There's one thing I do got to say. Four Swords, as soon as I found out it was on DS, which by extension 3DS, I'm going to try that one. I've been looking for Four Swords Adventure on GameCube, but
So good.
oh
So
boy,
good.
oh boy, are those some prices, all right. So Oracle games, I'm sorry if I'm cutting ahead. I'm just going to get these out of the way, the ones that I haven't played. Oracle of Seasons and Ages, I'm waiting for Nintendo Online. Spirit Tracks and Phantom Hourglass, I have them on my 3DS as well as Triforce Heroes. So, like, just anything that's involving those, I apologize. I will recuse myself.
Yep, that is fair. I should have pointed that out also. I've played basically every Zelda game. I just have not played all the way through Skyward Sword, and I've not played Zelda 1 or 2.
Same, but like,
I've played through every Zelda game around,
Yeah,
including the CDI games.
oh my
wow,
god.
so you're the master. You're the master here.
Yeah, I played the CDI games on a ROM. I did do that.
I prefer not
So,
to hear you being an expert because whenever I have to slander you later, you've got the credentials.
yeah.
You can slander the CDI games all you want.
So as the Zelda expert, you've played them all. Did you have any thought of putting Link's crossbow training in your top 10 or no?
Not a chance. Not a chance.
Okay. I was just curious. I had to ask.
All right.
Oh, I did. I did enjoy my time when I was in my the Wii is the greatest console of all time mode.
Hold on. I'm just saying my number 7 was specifically the plastic attachment that comes with Link's crossbow training. So do I have to cross that out or
Yeah, no. I had to disregard
okay,
that.
hold on. I gotta rewrite my list. Keep going.
What a great tech demo.
I actually did play that quite a bit. My grandmother had a Wii, and that's like the only game she owned. I'm like, I don't know why you bought this, but
I
I'm
got
glad
that
you enjoy
when I
Link's
got my Wii. I
crossbow.
got that with Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Little to know. Um, Crossbow training did not get as much time as Brawl. We'll just say that.
I got
Wow.
my Wii with Mario Strikers Charged. That's what I got it with.
Probably better than Link's crossbow training. Sorry to
I
say.
doubt it. It's a Zelda game. It's impossible. It's impossible.
So now we'll move on to the next set of games. So this is interesting. This is the just missed the cut category, aka the games that only got one vote each.
AKA the bottom of my list.
Yep.
Oh my god.
So there are four. We already said the 4 games that got no votes. Now here are the 4 games that only got 1 vote. So we'll go from least points to most points. So with 1 point, Spirit Tracks originally on DS, which Sean had 10th.
Yep, that was one of my. It was just deciding between that and Phantom Hourglass, and Spirit Tracks kind of did everything from Phantom Hourglass a little bit better, and included like a puzzle mechanic where you can create your own basically tracks. I really liked it. Really fun game. A lot of memories playing that on DS. Came out when I was in like 8th grade. Yeah, 8th grade, and I remember playing that a lot on the bus.
Yep, that was a good game. I enjoyed that one. That would have been in the running for one of those bottom slots of mine as well. It's funny, I got this game for free
Ooh.
because my good friend Mike already owned it, and for whatever reason, his mom like won some sort of like box top thing like with cereal, so she got a free copy of this game. I don't know why. So I was given it, and it was it was pretty fun.
Yeah,
I
it was
enjoyed it.
Christmas 2009 for me. That's when I got it. Christmas '09.
Yeah, I've been looking at a copy for $40 on Facebook Marketplace.
Ooh,
Look, man, it's a DS game, $40.
yeah, that's
look
true.
at Nintendo handhelds right now. That's not bad.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. So, with 2 points, another game played mostly on your handheld was Four Swords Adventures, originally on GameCube, which Sean had 9th. I also enjoyed this game. I remember playing with some friends with we had our Game Boy Advances plugged into the GameCube, and it was a pretty cool game.
Dude, I love this game so much. Like, honestly, this is. I really wish I could have put it higher, but going through all the games, I couldn't. And I know it's very inaccessible to play with friends, because you all need your own Game Boy Advance plus a Game Boy Link cable, the GameCube Game Boy Link cable thing. I had 4 of them, plus I had my friends all had Game Boy Advances, so I'll never forget. Shout out to Truman, going to his house the day I got it, and we stayed up all night, me, him, and 2 of my other friends, Trevor and Donnie, and played through the entire game in one sitting.
God.
The one thing I have to say, one of the coolest aspects was right at the end of each level, each Link fights each other, and the winner wins the level. It was awesome.
I
Very Castle Crashers-esque.
I hate hearing this because it makes me feel like all my time with my family playing Mario Party or Smash was wasted when we could have been playing Four Swords Adventure. God, I hate this. Oh.
Dude, one of the best things about that game is when you go into like a dungeon or like the game's like very different than Zelda games, whereas like you have an overworld level and then like you get to go into like a dungeon inside the level. You look on your Game Boy Advance screen, and that was awesome.
Oh
It'd
God.
be awesome if they made some sort of modern port of this, but I just feel like that's never going to happen.
Shout out to
But
Purple Link. That was my go-to.
I just need enough family or friends to threaten to have them over at my house to play this properly. And there's no chance I'm going to
yeah,
be able to. I'd have to actually buy the stuff myself, and I've done enough of that in my life. I'm good.
yeah,
Also, the art style was very a Link to the Past, which you'll find out where I put that on my list later. But it was very very nostalgic for me playing that in like 2005, 2004. It was
yeah.
great. God, I love that game.
Makes me want to try it, but yeah, I wish it was a little more accessible to play in the current age. While I'm here, just shout out one other game with this link cable. I shout out whenever I can. Pac-Man Versus. I don't know if you played that, but that was
Never
so
played it.
good,
Saw
so
it.
good.
Saw it and always wanted it, but never played it.
God, what an interesting idea. The link cable, Game Boy Advance to GameCube. Very odd, but very Nintendo.
By the way, quick question.
Pokemon Coliseum. Shut that up.
Oh yeah, you're right. But anyway, quick question: the Four Swords Adventure. If I buy that on GameCube, can I actually play that, or do I need a Game Boy Advance and a link cable?
I believe if
You
I
can
remember
play it
correctly,
single player.
yeah,
You can play it single player with a controller, but if you want to play multiplayer, you all have to have Game Boy Advance.
Okay, cool. All right, so
Yep.
cool, awesome. Still gonna spend $100 at some point. Whee! Thanks, Nintendo.
So we'll keep moving. Now, with 4 points, was the game that started it all, the original Legend of Zelda on NES, which Sean had 7th, but neither of us had it on our list, so it drops all the way down here.
I mean, I had to put this on.
Did
It's the
you?
original. I really really loved it. I love the whole aspect of exploring the world, and you're kind of just thrown in. You have no idea what's going on. There's
that
really
sounds
not
familiar.
like a course. Yeah, there's really not like a core story. It's a little different though. It's a little
Sounds
different
familiar.
than that game that you're thinking about. Yeah, but they did it first, and I like the way they did it.
Return to form, you
Um,
say?
No cutscenes.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
No voice acting.
Oh,
I know,
no,
but
I'm sorry. I can't. Too early.
No, this game was. I have a lot of memories playing this game on the original NES. I remember one of my earlier memories watching my dad play through it. That was a lot of fun to just watch him explore and ask him random questions like, "Why are you burning random trees? What's going on here?" He's like, "Oh, I'm looking for something." This is before the era of like where you just look up anything. I really highly suggest if you have not played this game to play it blind. Do not go in with a guide.
No.
You're gonna miss so much stuff, but that's like the best way to play. Like you can go in any order in the dungeons you want. It's a lot of fun. And shout out to the Zelda quest. After you beat the game, you can play through the game again. It's a little different.
Yeah, I do want to try. I've played this, I've picked it up and played a little bit. I've had many intentions of playing this game, and then I just never get through to it. I don't know. It's just slightly too old for me, but I'm gonna try it at least another few times in my life, I'm sure.
Yeah, at some point I will do this literally just so I can cross the name off the list, but I am not
Yep.
gonna play this game cleanly at all. Like, just look, man. If you are going to have bombable walls and they don't at least have like some sort of indication on them that I can bomb them, you've lost me already.
It's the best part.
Oh, cool. Let me just
No, I'm
bomb
kidding, I'm
multiple
kidding.
walls. Oh, at what point something's gonna crack? Awesome.
One last shout out for that game. Shout out to the translation in the English version. It's atrocious. It is so bad. It's so poorly translated.
Question: is that still the translation that they're using on the Nintendo Online one? If you know.
I have no idea about the Nintendo Online one, but I definitely know it's for a fact for the NES Classic.
Okay.
So probably.
Yeah, probably.
So that would have been 12 on our list. So now we'll move to the last game and just missed the cut. With 5 points, Skyward Sword on
No!
which Ed had
wait.
6 on his list.
Wait, hold on. Shit! Okay, fine. You guys want to play it like this, okay? We're going to start off this early with a knife in me, okay? Listen, all of you are wrong, okay? I'm going to bring the microphone up closer to myself, and I'm going to speak a little quieter. All of you are wrong. Skyward Sword is awesome. I don't know, like the motion controls. Get up. Stop being lazy. Get up. Stand in front of your TV. Make sure that you... Okay, are you playing it on Wii? If you're playing it on Wii, stop it. Stop it. Get rid of your copy. It's still a little valuable. You got the CD that comes with it, the concert music. Cool. That's still worth some money. Sell that. Buy it on Switch. Never played it on Wii? Don't talk to me if you play it on Wii. Play it on Switch. I can't play the motion control. Shut up. Get up. Use the motion controls. Swing the sword. That's how the game was meant to be played. They were just a little too early because, look, man, the motion plus on Wii, but the Joy-Cons, they can handle that pretty well. And I'm telling you right now, I finished Skyward Sword. I played that, 40, 50 hours. If there's one thing I can say about it is that it's just a little too long. A little too long. If we cut out, like, I don't know, 5 hours from it, it would have been tighter. But I just want everyone to know that you were wrong about Skyward Sword. Music, awesome. An attempt at a story, awesome. Gameplay, everything except stabbing forward works. Okay? All you motion controls. Aim the Joy-Con forward where you're looking. Press X. Boom! Skyward Sword is fixed! Oh my god, I can swing a sword! So, yeah, if you beat Demise and felt nothing, please don't talk to me. Thank you.
It's not my least favorite Zelda.
I have not played enough of it to have a full opinion. My problem with this game was that I played it after already playing like 5 Zelda games in a row preparing for this episode. So I got like 10 hours in and I was like, it's pretty good. I don't hate it. I don't love it. And I just kind of stopped playing it. But I will go back to it at some point. My problem was not the motion controls. I actually thought the combat was fun. It was more just like the structure of the game. Like I hated the parts where it was like use your sword and find stuff with like a metal detector. I'm like, oh my god, stop, stop.
Oh well.
Like when I actually got into the dungeons, that was fun. But like all the stuff outside of the dungeons, I did not really mess with at all. I did not enjoy
Parrott,
it.
if you thought that was bad, man, just wait until you have to do motion control swimming.
Oh god.
Yeah, no. Like, but hold on. I didn't even say this. By the way, for all of the dousing and motion control swimming there is, you can bowl a bomb. Let me repeat that. You can bowl a bomb. There's an entire boss battle that requires you to bowl bombs. I rest my case. Skyward Sword criminally on their spot on this list. Just bleh.
I'll give you this about Skyward Sword. I really did enjoy the dungeons in Skyward Sword. Didn't really enjoy the overworld. Not a big fan of the story either. Sorry.
Look, I'm just going to say that when it comes to the overworld, look, man, outside of really, it's only maybe three games on my list, and they're not even like back to back, that I felt compelled to do almost everything. So a bad overworld or an overworld I'm not interested in exploring, that almost doesn't factor to me too much.
Yeah, that's fair. I will say that this is not that far from making the list.
It's still
So
painful.
that was at number 11 with 5 points because you had it at 6.
I can't believe.
So now we'll
guys,
move into our
I swear
actual
to God,
top
if
10.
Minish Cap is somewhere on here. I swear to God.
Well, it is. It is. So now we'll move to our top 10. So our number 10 had 7 points total. And that was A Link Between Worlds on 3DS, which, Ed, you had it at 7th. I had it at 8th. So you can start it off.
All right. Now, okay, let me start off by just saying this. I'm going to sound a lot of negative probably shortly, but I just want to explain. All of these Zelda games, they're still good games. There's different amounts of enjoyment that I've had, and I'd still probably choose a Zelda game over almost any other game. So, A Link Between Worlds. Now, Sean, cover your ears, cover your heart, because this was going to hurt you. Basically, it just said, hey, what if all the annoying things that you had with A Link to the Past, what if we fixed that? And then I went, oh, hey, cool, thanks, I was waiting for you to do that. You're telling me that the items that I actually need for the dungeons, I can just go buy them? You're telling me that the items that I need to beat bosses are usually given to me almost right next to the area? You're telling me that I don't need the ice rod in a cave that is only mandatory until the very final phase with Ganon? You're telling me that I can just go buy that? Sick. Awesome. A Link Between Worlds, by the way, I just have to compliment the economy of the game. It is the only time that rupees actually matter. Very rarely in a Zelda game do they matter. You're just picking them up because, like, well, why not? I like the little chime that plays whenever I pick one up. In contrast, Minish Cap burnt me up so much that never mind. We're gonna whip Minish Cap later on. A Link Between Worlds. As soon as I found out about the 2D mechanic and being able to jump onto walls, I enjoyed how that pretty much shifted the way that I interacted with the entire world. I just really liked A Link Between Worlds. By the way, it's also the only game that we have seen, well, that I've played, that we've seen someone hold two pieces of the Triforce. So let's just go ahead and call A Link Between Worlds Ganon probably the GOAT, because this man had two Triforces at one point. So that's all I got for A Link Between Worlds. It's a good game. I enjoyed it on 3DS, and I enjoyed the dungeons. Is there anything I can really complain about? I don't know. At some point, I just felt like maybe there should have been one less dungeon. That's about it. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. A Link Between Worlds. That's a good game, but like, I don't have any moments in it that are high enough for me to want to put it higher. And there aren't enough moments that I was hating my life to just be like, okay, you belong a little bit lower. So you go at number 7 for me.
Yep, that's why I put it at number 8 on mine. This is a game I have not played this since it came out, so it's very vague in my mind. But I just remember it being. I always thought I liked 2D Zelda more than 3D until actually this last like 6 months. But I just remember this just being a very, very polished version of a 2D Zelda with less of my issues with 2D Zelda, which is normally that I get lost in the overworld and I have trouble figuring out where the hell I'm supposed to go next. And I just feel like this is a more polished, more modern version of a 2D Zelda game. I also really like the part where you turn into the painting, and you can just walk on the walls in 2D.
Dope.
I think that creates a lot of like pretty interesting puzzle parts.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a couple things to say here.
Oh, God.
Ed, you took a shot at one of my favorites.
I'm trying not to say where it's on your placement, because I know exactly where it is. I have not seen your list, and I know where it is.
You say that you like the idea that you can just buy the items that you need, but isn't the whole idea of Zelda to explore the world and find things that you need and really go out of your way to figure out what you need and solve puzzles to get the items you need and then figure out how you use the items, rather than just being, oh, here you go, here's the item, oh, you can buy it with your rupees, oh, now you don't have to go explore, here you go.
I'm gonna go
Isn't that the
into
whole
a
idea?
dungeon. I'm gonna go into a dungeon and they're just gonna give me the item there. At least now I can just buy all these items and be able to just go and explore the world, instead of being like, oh, what is that rock over there? Oh, I can't explore that rock till dungeon 6. Oh, what darn.
But that's part of Zelda. That is part of
That's
why
that's
Zelda
traditionalist
is
talking.
Zelda.
That's traditionalist talking, okay? Now, all the items are right here, okay? They give you the little icon right next to the dungeon to tell you, hey, you're gonna need this. And you know what? The dungeon design is better for it, because, let's be honest, okay? Every dungeon in a Zelda game, in traditional Zelda games,
Highly disagree.
It's foreplay.
Highly disagree.
It is foreplay until you finally get the item, and then that's when the dungeon actually opens up and it becomes fun. All right? That is the opening of the dungeon. You know what? Let me roll back my words. The opening of a dungeon is still fun, but we don't start cooking until we find the key item in that dungeon. Being able to have the key item at the beginning of the dungeon just means that these dungeons get to cook immediately.
No, part of the entire
This is why I
dungeon
apologize.
structure for a Zelda game. No, part of the entire structure for a dungeon in a Zelda game is you have the first half where you're finding the item and you have to solve puzzles, just kill enemies, finally get that item. Then you do the second half, and that is when you start using that item and you go back to other areas and you do things that you saw earlier and were like, oh, I gotta come back here later with an item.
Exactly. So
That
you're
is the whole
saying
idea of Zelda.
you're saying that the foreplay is gone now. Now we actually get to use the key item to solve things.
But the foreplay is fun. That's what you need.
Oh no! You see, that's the thing. I like it. I'm not. Let me get ready. Let me say that foreplay, not a bad thing. Put it on my presidential campaign. Foreplay, not a bad thing. But what I will say though is that, when you're mainlining as many games as I did, having a change in the formula that just means that the dungeons no longer follow the same formula, and instead I just get extended amounts of being able to use the key item, it's dope. The only thing I will say, look, I will give you this one. the key item being first, barely used in each dungeon, it could have been maybe implemented just a tiny bit better. Because I think specifically the ice one or the fire rod, whichever one it was, as soon as I got in there, and it gives you that first room to kind of test it out, I will say that I was confused pretty quickly of like, oh, how do I actually use this? I figured it out, but I was like, okay, that's the one complaint I can have. That's it.
Hmm. All right.
Got it.
All right.
We'll table. We can table this for later because I think it's
Oh,
going to
it's
come
gonna
up
get
very
so
often.
worse.
Yeah, so we'll move on, but yeah, I had it eighth on my list, but it's I just think it's really solid. But I'd say I don't have a strong enough memory to really comment too much on the granular details of it.
By the way, music, good.
Yes, I do remember that. Also, it was nice to have a nice new 2D Zelda at the time that didn't involve touch controls. That also probably helped. So we'll move on to number 9, which had 9 points. This is a pair of games. Oracle of Ages and Seasons, originally on Game Boy
I'm
Color.
standing at
Sean
almost
had them as his fourth, and I had them at 9. So Sean, you can start.
All right. So this is honestly some of the best original Game Boy games of all time. Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons. Now, for those of you who don't know, let's give a brief synopsis here. One of them focuses on more of the puzzle aspect, but one of them focuses on more of the combat aspect. And the beauty of it was if you played both games, you could link it up and you get a secret end. You could basically import your save data, not through the cloud, through the link cable, not through the cloud.
or through a password.
Yeah, through a password, not link cable. Sorry, I apologize.
Wait, no. Can't you do both?
I think so because I
I
remember
think
doing
you
it on
could
a
do
link
both.
cable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, anyways, the whole this was very similar to the original Link's Awakening. Same developers, Capcom, one of those Capcom developed Zelda games. I really just liked the differences between the two. It's in a different world too. You're not trying to save Zelda. Each dungeon, even in the one that focuses on combat, like the dungeons are still really good, but they're just combat based, and you have a lot of rooms you have to clear up monsters to unlock a door. Um, and the other one, the dungeon design is really cool. Shifting the seasons to changes the whole overworld. Shifting the time, you go like back in time, and that changes the overworld. That was a really cool aspect. I just really like the differences, and it was a very different Zelda game, very similar to what you were saying last time. But it was like I said, it was very different, and it really was at the end of the Game Boy, the regular Game Boy's life. It was actually Game Boy Color to be exact. But I really enjoyed my time with it. Yeah, it was a really good game.
I haven't played it yet. The only thing I need to say is that it's still insane seeing a Game Boy Color game. You boot up the menu and it has a 2001 or 2002 copyright. Like that's just insane
Yep,
to see.
2001. Yep.
Yeah, I played these for the first time this year in preparation for this episode because I knew Sean liked them so much. Like I had been waiting for years for them to come to Switch, and I just finally gave in and played them on my 3DS. And I like these quite a bit as well. I had them at 9. They're not my favorite, but I thought the dungeon design in both of them were really good. I agree with Sean that I really like the overworld changing stuff with the time travel and the seasons. I think I remember the time one I thought was a little cooler. I can't remember which game was which. Which one was the combat one, and which one was the
The combat one, I'm
I think
pretty
Seasons was
sure
the
is
combat
Seasons.
one. Yeah.
What one of the cool things though, what I like about is in Ages, you can plant something in the past, and then when you
Yep.
go back to the future, like it sprouts, and it's a way to like access extra areas.
I feel like the Ages one, like Seasons, you were changing seasons back and forth, but it didn't really amount to quite as much as I feel like you could do in the Ages game. But both of them I thought had really cool dungeons, especially the dungeon focus one. And then they both had like unique items that are not in any other Zelda games. Like the magnet glove was really fun to play with.
Mm.
I forget which one of the two games had that. And then one of them had like the one or both of them had like the gun that you had, like the pea shooter. That was also cool. But I think I only put it at 9 because my complaint is similar to like some of these other games at the bottom of my list. I just think like the old 2D Zelda style of overworld, I just don't enjoy very much. They're just a little bit too obtuse for my personal enjoyment, but I can see why other people like it more than I do. But I do love riding the pets.
I also like very similar to in Link's Awakening. You when you go down, you get like a little 2D section as well, which is kind of cool.
Right, right, like the 2D, like almost like
Like the 2D
platforming
side
sections.
scroller. Yeah.
Yeah, and you get the what is it, the Pegasus boot or whatever, the
Pegasus
feather.
boots.
Yeah,
Yep.
and you can jump. Yeah, I always like that stuff. So that will bring us to number 8, which is going to make Edwin mad.
Oh God.
With has 10 points, which is Minish Cap on Game Boy Advance.
Woo!
Sean had it 6, I had it 7, and Ed had it 10.
I want everyone to know that at 10, if I had if I just had literally any other Zelda game, Minish Cap would not be on here.
And your 1 point helped put it up higher on the list.
God, Skyward Sword is off this list. God.
All right. So, Sean, why don't you start before Edwin has a heart attack?
All right, so Minish Cap. I'll start off with one thing that negative. Only a couple dungeons, not that many dungeons. There's only 4.
And it was still one dungeon too much.
No. Really, I found the idea of shrinking and that expanding the overworld to be really cool. It expanded expanded you into a whole new area. Love the Minish people. Thought that was a really cool concept.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of sad that we have not gotten a proper Minish Cap 2.
Thank God.
Definitely a huge upgrade over Navi, your little guide with your hat.
Mm-mm.
What, you don't like him?
Oh my God,
The hat, talking hat.
I don't like Eslo. Eslo is fine, okay? It just I remember him at the beginning, annoyed. I remember him when he reveals his connection to the villain, and then I remember him at the end, like being Link, hey boy, you ain't so bad. And I was just like, get away from me, knockoff King of Red Lions, get away from me.
Well, it came out around the same. It came out a couple years.
I know
later,
exactly.
So they're probably inspired by it. Yeah. Shout out to the dungeon in the sky.
Dope.
That was one of my favorite ones. That was actually a really cool design. Some of the items in the game are pretty unique too, like the sucking up the wind and spitting out the clouds. That was really interesting and a really cool concept.
I like what it did for the leaves, like the little lily ponds. Like I like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I haven't played this game in a long time either, but I played it a lot when I was younger. I just remember going to my grandmother's house. I had the purple Game Boy Advance, and I would just play this game all the time. I don't think I was ever particularly good at it. I did not beat it until later on in life, but I always just, as I've talked about on our normal episodes, my love of Chibi Robo, I think I just have something about the idea of a small character in a normal map is just something that really appeals to me. So that, really explains why I like this game so much. So I agree with like a lot of what you said, Sean. I just like being the idea of turning into the small Link, and then he's like really small on the screen, and then you go inside, and it's like this whole world of people living like under the nose and under the foot of people that have no idea they're there. I just always love that idea.
Yeah, I love jumping into the pots in people's houses and just crawling around, going on the roofs, walking around outside, little mini. Also, shout out to the mole mitts. I love that you use them just dig everywhere you go. I thought that was really cool.
Oh yeah.
You can find kinstone pieces like that. I remember searching. Oh my God, I searched so much for the kinstones, and I was so disappointed with the final award for finding the kinstones.
Yeah, I don't think I ever. I remember getting them. I found my fair share of them, and I was never a completionist enough to go looking for all of them.
I
remember that part not being my favorite.
I think I actually hate the kinstones.
Oh, dude, it was so much fun. You get to match them up, match the 2 fragments together.
Why am I doing this? Just put the interesting thing on the map, okay? Don't make me connect these 2 pieces. I didn't even know there was a button dedicated to it until the game forced me to, and as soon as I had that done, I was like, wow, I hate this. The sky thing, awesome. I don't want to do the kinstones. Make me go press a button. I don't want the kinstones here, please. I'm so glad these never came back.
Reminds me of something else in another game that can be kind of annoying.
You mean something that in? Oh no, don't worry. No, too early.
We're gonna get there very soon.
No, don't. Soon?
So the kins soon. So I'm not a huge fan of the kinstones. I don't remember I don't think I hate. I think I just ignored them as much as possible. Actually, reminds me a little bit of what we just talked about. Oracle of Ages and Seasons. They had like the badges or something. Do you remember what they're specifically called, Sean?
Yeah, they're the badges.
Yeah, when I played those games, I just totally ignored that the entire time, and I believe that in Minish Cap, I would have just ignored the kinstones unless I absolutely had to, because that's the sort of thing I also don't really ever enjoy.
All right.
Also, one more thing before we move on. This game looks really good for a GTA game.
I was about to say that. It's so good. I just love the art style in this game.
All right, now this is where all my slander starts going. Minish Cap. All right. I don't like that the villain has the masked salesman's laugh. I don't like it. I don't like that this is just Wind Waker Link. I don't like it that he has young Link's voice instead of Wind Waker's Link. Like, this game feels so much like, hey, here is what Zelda is. Just don't have any like new ideas. Just take what already exists from Zelda and just put it on the Game Boy Advance. Like, I don't like this game because even though all the Zelda games have their own formula, there's enough to them that's the differentiator. And Minish Cap's differentiator being the fact that you can shrink. Like, honestly, here's the thing. If it were on the fly, I think I'd like it more. I just kind of hate it whenever I would see a pot or I would see like the little raised platform and be like, oh, I guess I have to shrink down at some point. I don't know what it is. Like, the shrinking just, I don't like it. I don't like it. It's like, oh, cool. I'm in the same area. Now it's just more annoying
But
because
small.
this little rock is now a boulder that I can't cross. Hooray.
Yeah, I could totally see that. I get what you're saying because that's also like the same exact thing as how it is in like Oracle Ages of Seasons. Like it makes it seem like it's this big thing, but it's really only in specific spots you can do it. So I kind of do agree that it would be way cooler if you could actually just shrink at any point that you wanted. But this was a Game Boy Advance game, so I understand why it was not like
I
that.
mean, I don't. By the way,
And shout out to the villain not being Ganon.
That is true. That is cool. I love Wind Waker Link. So
okay,
as we'll see later.
the villain, he's fine. He is
Vadi.
okay. Whatever, man. Like, you don't understand. Once I heard him have the happy mask salesman laugh, I was like, I hate you. I don't even hate you as a villain. I hate you as a concept. Change your voice. By the way, now this is something that I know that a whole bunch of people complained about the Game Boy Advance, how the Super Nintendo ports got ported into the Game Boy Advance. They were like, oh, why is Yoshi always going, like, look, I am now in your camp, okay? I am in your camp now because I don't want 2D Link having a 3D Link's voice. I don't, like, honestly, if they had just done a different voice, I feel like I would have been okay, but I do have to admit, the dungeons are great. They're great. Which, by the way, same director as a certain other game later on in the list. That, maybe this man understands certain design chops. Don't worry.
People change.
Don't worry. He figured out open world later. He figured it out, though, because I can tell you right now, Minish Cap's open world, I don't want to explore anything.
Yeah, you know what? Let's just use that as a transition because I think we're going to get into a weird section of the episode where both you and then I are going to have some questions for our friend Sean here.
No.
So number 7 on our list with only 12 points, Breath of the Wild for Wii U / Switch.
No.
Ed, you had it 4th. No. I had it 6th.
All right. Okay.
Sean did not have it.
All right. Look, I will go ahead and start championing this right now. All right. Breath of the Wild. I bought a Switch. I bought it with Breath of the Wild. That's, I don't know, let's say 300, 350, 60, 70, let's say 370. A $370 investment. After Breath of the Wild, I said if I never played a single other video game on my Switch, this was entirely worth it. And you're speaking to someone who bought Smash 4 for Wii U and said the same thing, okay? I can tell you right now, Breath of the Wild is just a special game. When I saw the GDC talk about how they're like, oh yeah, the entire game is all about having triangles, and then I think they said like circles off in the distance. The game is all about sparking your imagination about where you want to go. You see a triangle, you see a mountaintop, you're like, hey, what's on the other side of that mountaintop? Hey, what's that over there? Now I got pinging about a shrine. Oh, the shrines, they're so good. They're just these little bite-sized puzzles, and they're like, they basically took a dungeon. If they had a collection of like 8 or 9 dungeons, they said, what if we just took apart the rooms inside those dungeons and then just throw them all across an entire world? Every single place you go is rewarding because where you are, there's always a puzzle to do. There's always a side quest to do. There is something to climb, and every single time that you explore something, it is something worthwhile. It is enemies that once you start killing, you take their items. Oh no, it's about to break. I throw it at a person so it gives me extra damage. I grab some of their items. I throw a bomb. There's so much player expression in this game. My hacked Switch, right? That was where I played Breath of the Wild. I did all 120 shrines. I explored them all myself. I didn't use a guide, and thankfully the DLC made that very useful by being able to track everywhere you've been on the map, so I would just check places that I hadn't wandered into. I did all of those, and I can tell you right now. So, oh no, I forgot what my point was. My point being is that at some point I formatted my Switch. I booted back into it yesterday, and I was like, oh, my save isn't here. I'm pretty sure I have it backed up on my PC. I loaded up to my Switch, I load back up, and I'm right at Hyrule Castle. And I'm thinking, oh, well, let me just go ahead and float away. Literally just floating away from the castle is some of the most excitement that I've had for video games in like how long's it been? 6 years. Literally just floating away from the castle made me want to explore the game again that I've already spent more than 100 hours in. Breath of the Wild is incredible, and the music is awesome. There is no reason Breath of the Wild should be this low. You have a lot to answer to.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No. We'll let Sean go after. I had it 6. This actually would have been much higher on my list if I had not played more of these Zelda games leading up to it. So that alone is why I dropped to 6. But that does not mean I don't love this game. I I totally agree with really everything you said. I am not a big open world person, and as I've said many times, I just don't. I don't know. I've gotten so sick of the open world checkbox sort of game, but this is like the opposite of that. This is like one of the few open world games that I just love playing because, like you said, it's just so rewarding to explore. It just makes the whole act of exploring. It's not tedious in this game. It's not a means to an end. Like it is the fun, the exploring, and then you can find, like you said, all the shrines are so cool, like the little bite-sized dungeons, and then just moving around and fighting the enemies, trying the weapons, just all that stuff is so fun and rewarding. And I just remember playing this game when I bought my Switch. I just poured like I don't know how long I played it for, probably like 50, 60 hours just over the course of like the first month I had the Switch. And I love this game. It would have probably been higher on my list if I had not played some more, because I just think the one thing that I know Sean is going to bring up is I do miss the, like, the more large scale
But
dungeons.
those are the divine beasts. Like that's my question. Everyone's like, "Oh, there are no
Yeah.
dungeons." Okay, look, the key item is the tablet. The tablet, how it? Oh, well, you got the elephant one. Well, you gotta move it from different levels. Like they are dungeons. I don't understand why people were like, "Oh,
Yeah.
they're not dungeons." They are. There's a sequence of rooms that you need to go into, and they change depending on the activity on your tablet for that dungeon. Like it's a dungeon. They're not. Ugh.
Sean, anything to say to that?
Um, so, where do I start? So,
And look, I'll
before I
be
preface
drinking
this,
and I'll drink water just so I won't interrupt you.
I do want to say I did put 120 hours into Breath of the Wild. I did all 120 shrines before the DLC easy, the motorcycle thing. I did not use a guide. I got over 400 Korak seeds. Um, I did play this game a lot. But here's my thing. I agree with Parrott. The lack of traditional Zelda dungeons really hurt me. I'm a big dungeon guy, and that was a huge misstep for me. I know you say the divine beasts are your dungeons. They're more of like a poor man's dungeon.
Define.
Not they do not do everything that I want out of a traditional Zelda dungeon game. Yes, they have rooms you have to backtrack and go back into, and you have to use your tablet and find and move the elephant a certain way and do stuff like that. But to me, that is not the traditional Zelda dungeon. Is you go in, you find the item, then you use that item to figure out how to get more keys and get the boss key, defeat enemies, defeat mini bosses. That's not in Breath of the Wild. Also, I will give you this: the music is fantastic. I absolutely love that music. Another thing I'm not a big fan of. I know it's been beaten to death, but breaking of weapons. Like, come on. I don't want to be using a weapon, then it breaks, and then I have to get another one, and that one breaks, and I have to go back and find another weapon, and then that one breaks. Also, uh, you can get like a million horses. Real no connection to your horse. Really, real no connection. I do like one quest I really did like that I did do was you get to buy a house. I thought that was pretty cool. I'll give it credit there. I also like the giant labyrinths. I'll give it that. The giant labyrinths, going there. That was a pretty cool idea for a shrine. Um, some of the trial by combat, not a big fan of that. Way too many of them.
Okay, here's where I
Kind
will
of.
jump in and assist you on this one. A little too many combat dungeons, especially because at some point you just get good so hard that it's like, oh, the biggest strength trial. Do you realize how quickly I'm going to need to destroy you right now? Continue.
You can cheese them so easily.
Wait, okay, not even cheesing. Like, I just got so good at the game that, like, they were nothing to me.
But you did make one mistake. You call them dungeons. They're shrines. There aren't any dungeons in this game.
Look, Sean, this is where. Tell me, what is the functional difference between a bunch of rooms that you solve things to get to a boss in Breath of the Wild and compare them to the difference in other Zelda games where you go through a whole bunch of sequences of rooms to solve puzzles to get to a boss?
You just explained it.
I said the exact same thing for both of them. You solve a couple of puzzles in a room to get to a boss in Breath of the Wild, and you solve a couple of puzzles in a room to get to a boss in a dungeon.
I will argue this: the regular dungeons in other Zelda games are much more complex, longer, and they give you that. And they give you that item that you are searching for.
You have the items that they give you to on the tablet. The stasis, the bomb.
Yeah, you don't need that.
Ice.
Oh, a tablet? What is this? A Wii U?
Yes. Yes! Correct!
Yeah, so they're it's just the divine beasts are not my I wanted more the way you described it earlier. You said I know you said you had talked about imagine if they had given you 8 or 9 dungeons spread across the open world. That would have been perfect.
That
would have been perfect.
Yeah, that just okay. Anyone who has complaints about it being a dead world, put 9 or 8 dungeons all across the map, and you'll see a real dead world. Okay, because like at that point, it's like, oh, bandit camp here, side quest here. The shrines are what
sounds
really
like you're describing a Far Cry game.
No, the problem is that Far Cry games aren't actually good. This is actually good because you actually want to explore. In a Far Cry game, you see a yellow marker that says 753 meters away, and that's the only reason why you want to go there. No reason about actually wanting to explore. No reason about wanting to see what's across the mountain. There's nothing in a Far Cry game is ever rewarding. It's just, hey, here's more XP so you get the silent sniper and you break the game. No. Breath of the Wild, imagine if your silent sniper broke and you didn't have to break the game because of it. That is the beauty of the weapons in Breath of the Wild, because it is all about a game about fostering your creativity. If you look, you want to know what I did at some point? I farmed the Lionel weapons. I had like 6 hearts when I did this, and I got so good at the game. And you want to know what's incredible about that? The game just let me. I went in. I got so good at just rinsing these Lionels that anytime I'd break a weapon, boom, just throw away and grab another one. As soon as I got the Master Sword, I'd use that thing for a little bit. Oh, the thing's done? Cool. Let me grab my Lionel sword again. Like, the game is so you can make this game. The weapon breaking in this game is like Majora's Mask time thing. You think it's a problem until it just isn't.
Yeah, I agree with all the I don't personally find a big problem with the weapon breaking either. I think for me, I totally agree with everything you're saying, Edwin. Just for me, if this the overworld part of this game is by far the best in any Zelda game. I just love the exploration and everything and the shrines and everything like we were talking about. But I think if you just took this game and stuck it with like dungeons on the quality of like a Twilight Princess, for example, which is a game I like slightly more than this, then I think this would be by far the perfect Zelda game.
Everyone who put Skyward Sword at the bottom, you made your bed. You made your bed. Ew, Skyward Sword. Ew, the motion controls. Ew, so traditional Zelda. We changed shit now. Breath of the Wild is what we got. and I can't believe it's different and just as good. Just as good. Skyward Sword, oh god, such a good game, and so is Breath of the Wild.
Last comment I'm gonna make: Horizon better. All right, moving on.
Oh my god, Sean, I didn't know that you were working on your jokes. That was incredible. Please, another one.
I'm in an interesting spot here because I agree with pretty much, everything Edwin says, but I'm just, but I don't like it quite as much as you just because of the lack of dungeons, but I definitely am not as in the anti Breath of the Wild camp as much as Sean is. I will say
Parrot, we have so many traditional dungeons that, like, Breath of the Wild not having one, it's like, okay, that's fine. Do you realize how many Zelda games there are with traditional dungeons? I'm okay.
that. Yeah.
I will say this: the game's not. I don't think it's an awful game. I don't think it's a bad game. I think it's a good game, not a good Zelda game. A good
Wrong.
game.
Look, Zelda is all about. It's all about the discovery. It's all about the aha.
Zelda
moment,
won.
and this
Zelda
game
won.
has it in spades.
Zelda won.
Oh god.
Look.
I think that this could go on for hours. So how
Parrot,
about we
Parrot.
move on to our next
Parrot.
part where we
Dude.
are also gonna have some questions for Sean. I gotta
Parrot,
say.
did you see Red Extreme Breath of the Wild and you got to see the aha moment in his eyes? That's what I'm talking about.
Yep.
That's what I'm talking about right there.
Yep. I agree. I had a very magical time playing this game. I will say I didn't say it before, but we are recording this before Tears of the Kingdom comes
Tears
out.
of the Kingdom, number 0 on my list. I'm sorry. That one gets 11 points right off the bat, so adjust it.
So I think there's a very real chance that if that game is just this game with, maybe more complex dungeons or changes in other spots, that it could be like the perfect Zelda game for me. But we will find out 2 weeks.
We should have recorded this
We'll
after.
record an addendum to this
Dude,
episode.
we should record this after so I could get Minish Cap off my list.
No, Minish Cap is staying. So now we're going to move on to number 6, which is, to me, maybe the most puzzling placement on this list, I have to say. So number 6 with 15 points is Ocarina of Time, originally on N64. I had it at number 2.
Ooh.
Edwin had it at 5, and Sean did not list it at all.
What?
So we'll get to that. I will start off.
No. We got to start with Sean. No. The Ocarina of Time. No, Parrot, I'm sorry. I know that we all love positivity, but how?
I am very curious because this is my first Zelda game I ever played. So that is maybe having a 2 is a little bit of nostalgia, but this game, set the stage for 3D Zelda, and also I just think it has some of the most, it was first, but the 3D dungeons in this game are so good, and they're obviously very traditional Zelda. They built the blueprint, so I'm curious why Sean does not like this one as much as some of the others.
I'm gonna say this. I love Ocarina. I love Ocarina. It just didn't make my list. I think a big reason why, mostly, I played Majora's Mask before I played Ocarina, and so like my first 3D Zelda is Majora's Mask, and I loved Majora's Mask a lot. So when I went back and played Ocarina, I was comparing everything to Majora's Mask. Now, I will say this: the dungeon design in Ocarina of Time is fantastic. A lot of people give the Water Temple a lot of.
They're wrong.
They don't really like it a lot. I love the Water Temple.
Correct.
I thought it was so cool. The puzzle mechanics in that game, the difficulty in solving the puzzles was awesome. The open world, the overworld, I really like the overworld. But again,
Yep.
I played Majora's Mask first, so it wasn't like this, like, oh my gosh, look what they're doing moment for me. I do have some very cool memories of this game. Before I ever played it, I did watch my cousin play it. I play a little bit of it, and I thought it was really cool. I was really scared when Link becomes an adult, and then you leave, and you're in Hyrule, and basically it's like a nightmare. I got really
like all the
scared about
zombies
that when I was little. But like I said, I don't hate this game. I really like this game. It was one of those games that just missed my list, and I think it was one of those things. If I had played Majora's Mask after it, I probably would put Ocarina first. But it is a good game. I love the whole aspect of, going 7 years forward and then having to go back to do what temple do you have to do back? It's the
Temple of Time.
Shadow Temple. The Temple of Time.
Or-
No. But what temple do you have to do?
Forest Temple.
No. There's a temple you have to do after you do the water, the fire, and the forest temple when you're an adult.
It's the Shadow Temple if you want to really.
The Shadow
Yeah,
Temple.
that's what I meant.
Yeah,
That's what I meant.
I thought that was
the
a
forest.
I thought that was
it's in
a
a
cool.
forest.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought that was a cool concept. But yeah, To me, there's other games that I like more, but this just missed my list, and it's not like I hate this game.
Sean, man, you're talking about traditional Zelda, and it don't get more traditional than Ocarina of Time. Like,
A Link to the Past did it
no,
better.
you beat me. You beat me to it. I was about to say, literally, the only thing that gets more traditional is Link to the Past.
If Ocarina was 2D, maybe I'd like it.
Oh.
That game
I'm
exists. It's
kidding.
called
I'm
Link to the
kidding. I'm
Past.
kidding. I'm kidding. No,
Yeah.
like I said, it is a good game. It's not.
It's not on the
It's not
top
Yeah.
my
10.
favorite.
Jesus.
It's so hard for me to say. Like I put it at 2, but I you know I'm not going to pretend that nostalgia does not play a role in this. But I remember I had this game in elementary school. I had the Nintendo Power subscription. I remember if you paid for 1 year of Nintendo Power, I believe it was, and you would got the Ocarina of Time and Master Quest GameCube
Oh, I'm
disc,
so
Oh.
jealous.
and that is how I had this game because I never owned an N64, so I didn't play this until on that GameCube disc, and I just would play this thing constantly. And like I've said many times, I just believe as a kid, I'm sure we all were, but I was pretty bad at games, so I did not get immensely far in this game as a
Yep.
kid. I played like the young Link section like all the time basically. And then I did eventually at some point get to the adult Link, but not very far. But I just remember, had so many memories of riding around on Epona. And, at that time it felt like the craziest open world I'd ever seen. I'm like, oh my God, this is so expansive. And it turns nighttime and you fight off the monsters. And, looking at it now, it's obviously very primitive, but at the time it was so amazing. And I also just, I love that there's like a game and it almost seems like the game is done. You play as a young Link, you beat the 3 dungeons like it wants you to do, and then you become adult Link, and then all of a sudden the game is huge, and you realize you weren't even close.
All right, now there's one thing I gotta say. Ocarina of Time is at my 5 because this feels like baseline. This feels like Zelda is measured against Ocarina of Time. Are you better than Ocarina of Time or are you worse than Ocarina of Time? Now, Ocarina of Time, that is a high bar. We're putting the bar pretty high, but that's because it's Zelda. Most of the time, you're gonna get a good game out of it. Shout out to Skyward Sword. Ocarina of Time at 5 just feels right for me because it just is the perfect introduction for Zelda. I mean, and let's be honest, 3D Zelda has way more importance than 2D now, so that only adds the importance to Ocarina of Time. The dungeons design, my god, like it's so insane that 3D was as new as it was, and these dungeon designs are still as timeless as they can be. By the way, Parrot, I hate that you said that Ocarina of Time being nostalgia for you at number 2. And it's gonna bother me because my number 2 was my first Zelda, but
Yeah,
but I replayed it recently, so I think it still counteracts
yeah,
it. Anyways, continuing with Ocarina of Time. The change to Adult Link is awesome. It was the introduction of what we kind of know as a little bit of an extra thing into the Zelda formula, which is the duality where you would have one Link and you'd have another Link. Majora's Mask didn't have that. It had multiple Links, but whatever, that's fine. What is it in Wind Waker? Oh, no, it's only Twilight Princess that has it. Oh, well, whatever. We're throwing that one out, but I guess one part of the formula that is absolutely something that I love is an instrument or something
yes,
musical
yes.
getting involved. Like, it is easily one of my favorite Zelda tropes that fine, look, I'll say something mean about Skyward Sword. The harp is maybe the worst one out of all of them. It's such a shame because the harp is a nice instrument, but the implementation where it's just open mouth singing, and it looks like she's yelling at you, but it's pretty music, whatever. But I'm moving on. I'm losing the point. Ocarina of Time is the baseline. The dungeons designs are great. The fight with Ganon at the end is epic as hell.
Epic fight.
Navi is I actually kind of like Navi because Navi, the hey listen, can it get annoying at some point?
Iconic.
Yes, but I kind of still find it charming. I just like that Navi is just they're a flat character that's just like, hey, I'm here to help you. There's kind of they're fairies for the I already forgot the Kokiri children, like it kind of just feels right that these little Peter Pan motherfuckers have such a little happy spirit that's just hanging around them. Like I like it. I like Navi. So the it just feels like this is the game that solidifies what Zelda is and what Zelda not should be, but what most of the time will be. And it's really hard to knock that down.
Yep, I'm glad you mentioned the instrument because that was one other note I had that I wanted to mention. Just like the getting the ocarina and learning all the songs that you can play at will to do the different, different actions. I do love that. And I love that that became a staple,
Mm-hmm.
for many 3D Zeldas after that. I even was so obsessed with it. I bought one of those Ocarina of Time ocarinas. I still have it sitting up on the shelf right over
Dude,
there.
everyone has wanted to buy one.
Yep. We'll move on now. We'll move on to now we're in our top 5.
God, it's out of the top 5. Jesus Christ.
Number 5 had 17 points, and that is Link's Awakening, originally for Game Boy / Game Boy Color. Sean and Edwin, you both had this at 3. I
Whoa.
had it at 10. So, you can flip a coin. Whoever wants to start.
Sean, I feel like I've already talked too much. Go for it.
So Link's Awakening, great game. Both whether you play it on the Game Boy Advance, whether you play it on the Game Boy Color, or the Game Boy or the Switch, great games. Now I will say this is the greatest game on Switch outside of Xenoblade Chronicles.
Okay.
No, but no, in all seriousness, the Switch version is immaculate. From the art style to just the overall design of the world, it is awesome. It is so creative, and the dungeons and the quest you're on. You're not saving Zelda. You're in this. Spoilers. You're in a dream world.
Oh my god.
You get an appearance of Wart. You get a chain chomp in there, trading the items, going on the item quest. It's overall stunning to look at. I really want another Zelda game in that art style. I found the design of the dungeons to be fantastic. It basically took it. I had it higher than Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons, and this game came before it. But to me, it feels like it came after. It feels like it took the concepts of Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons dungeons and advanced them, but it was weird because it came before it. Just the whole system is just it's great. Like I don't know what else to say about this game. Whether if you have not played this game, go out and either play it on Game Boy, DS, Game Boy Color, or Switch. Honestly, it's so good.
All right, so Link's Awakening. I played this, I don't know, a couple of months ago. I played it on Switch because, trust me, I did not want to deal with any potential old age. I played this one right after Link to the Past, so I was like, man, I kind of need some of the edges sanded off. So I will not be talking about the Game Boy Color one. I don't know about that. I'm talking about the Switch one. This game is a dream. And I hate that that's a pun, but it just feels right. There's this little soft edging around the entire game. All of the music is just so cozy. The entire world, all these little... I hate to do it, but, like the graphics. Oh my god, the graphics are so beautiful. This is gonna be right next to Wind Waker, and this is just gonna age so gracefully. The look of the entire game. I love the Ballad of the Windfish song is perfection. It is perfection. I love Marin. I love all these characters. They all have just this little offbeat. There's one thing that I have to say about my top 3. My top 3 is two of them are weirdo Zelda. One is hyper traditional, to the umpteenth degree, but we'll get there. But Link's Awakening just feels like weirdo Zelda. And it was on the Game Boy Advance. I think Miyamoto was like, you are never ever going to touch Zelda. And then he got a game on Game Boy Color. He's like, watch me. So it just has... That's the best way I can describe it. It has this happy, weird energy to it that I just vibe with so much. And I think that's what it is. I think most Zelda games are just pretty well designed. Like there aren't any times that are in most games that I'm like, wow, why would you do this? I mean, well, okay, there are moments. There are moments in Zelda games where I'm like, why would you do this? But for the most part, Link's Awakening, I measure most of these games by how annoyed I am because most of them are good. And Link's Awakening was just, there were just highs. I didn't have any negative moments with Link's Awakening. I missed the game. I beat it not long ago and I already miss it. I have the little Link's Awakening amiibo right next to me. I'm holding him and I look at him and it just makes me happy. That's what Link's Awakening is. It's just happiness.
For sure. Definitely. It's like it's cute. I absolutely love looking like if you walk by a TV and you don't like do a double take and look back at it and like stare in awe,
Yes.
like I don't know. Like this is one of those games that it looks great and it plays so good, and it's one of those games, do not use a guide for this. Honestly, try to do everything on your own. It's so worth it.
Yep, I don't really disagree with anything. I think this is a beautiful game. I played it on Game Boy Color, I believe, like way many years ago.
Link's
I also
Awakening
played this.
DX.
Yep, I also played the Switch one, which probably one of the most beautiful games ever. I mean, I love the art style. I also have that amiibo. It's just so cute.
Yes.
I think the dungeons in this game, the presentation, everything about it is really truly amazing. I just think I only put it at 10, but the bottom like part of my list is all kind of interchangeable. It could have been slightly higher. It could have been
Insulting.
I just I just like for me, like I've said before, the 2D overworld Zelda is just not quite my favorite part. So that's my problem with this game. Because I think I just lack the patience sometimes. I know that like I should try to figure out that without a guide, but at a certain point I just get annoyed. I'm like, okay, just tell me where to go. Just tell me where to
I
go.
should mention, at least to counteract that, this game, I specifically tried to do everything in it just because I love the feel of the world that I was compelled to try to find everything. So, I don't know, man. This one just really had me. And by the way, I just want to go back, since we're on the topic of graphics and I didn't bring it up, I just want to say that Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, I really vibe with because I don't know what happened. I psyoped myself into thinking of those games more like paper maches. Like they were, instead of now being cutting edge graphics for the N64, my brain now looks at them like child's toys, paper maches. And so, like, all of it is like, oh my god, I love the way this looks. So, I don't know. I just feel like I had to mention that.
So I think that that can transition into our next game, which
No,
this top four, but it's really top
no,
three, is about as tightly
no,
contested as you could possibly
no,
have it.
no,
So
no, 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 no,
yeah,
no, no,
so
no, no, no,
this is actually third.
no,
We'll go with number 3A, and since you mentioned it, we could talk about it
no,
first. And
no,
that 20 points, Majora's
no.
Mask.
No!
Hey, it's a top three. I can tell you right now before we continue, we have a tie for third. They both have 20 points. Number two has 21 points, and number one has no, sorry. Number three each have 20 points. Number two has 21 points, and number one has 22 points. So they are all, we are in 3-2-1, but they are all basically tied. There are very little separating these on our lists. But since you mentioned Majora's Mask, we can talk about that first. So that is number 3A. Ed, you had this at number
No,
one.
no.
I had this at number four, and Sean had it at eight.
No, I need a second to breathe. One of you guys hold this. No, hold on. No.
I played this game for the first time earlier this year, or it might have been late last year. I already forget. Time means nothing. And I was so put off by the thought of this game as a kid. I don't know why. I just like the idea of the 3-day clock just freaked me out for some reason. I never even wanted to try it. I was just so paranoid that I would get to a certain part and then I would run out of time and I'd have to do it all again. And even back then, like the idea of having to replay things was such a turn off to me at that time. And it still is, honestly. But I finally tried this. I played the 3DS version and it really, really blew me away. The 3-day clock was not a hindrance in any way possible. I was never inconvenienced by the clock. Instead, it only served to enhance the game. I love how certain things happen at certain times on specific days, and you learn the schedule and the flow of time, and then use that to your advantage to solve puzzles. That mostly comes into that mostly plays into like getting all the different masks more than the actual main story. Like you do that at times, but really you don't have to learn every single character's specific patterns until you're trying to get all the masks, which I did do because it allows you to get the fierce deity mask, which is just like the most OP thing in any game I've ever played. But this it also has this game just has a wonderful dark, moody, like kind of disturbing atmosphere, especially for a Nintendo game of of all companies. But and then it does not have many dungeons, but the ones it have, like all of them are so good. And then also you get to mess with the transformations, which is something that is just super fun. And they all play slightly differently, and they all can solve different puzzles and do different things themselves. But I would say all of them are good. But obviously, the Fierce Deity Mask is the most OP thing ever, so it's the best transformation. But all in all, like I was so glad that I actually finally played this game.
Yeah, Majora's Mask is awesome. This is the first 3D Zelda game I ever played. I love the idea of putting on a different mask and changing. I was so pumped when you could become a Zora. I thought that was so cool. Swimming so fast, and the 3DS version is the definitive way to play. Um, all the different side quests and the different like mechanics that at certain times in the day you have to do certain things, and if it's past a certain time, you missed it. I thought that was really cool. Parrot, I was very scared when I was younger of like the giant moon, and I thought
Yes.
that was like really creepy. And Skull Kid kind of freaked me out. But just this game, everything about this game just hits. The I love the world. I love how it's like a different style Zelda game again. Um, like you said, there wasn't a lot of dungeons, which is usually a turnoff for me. But the dungeons that they do have are like bangers, so good. The music in this game is just fantastic. I listen to this the dun 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 dun. I listen to that all the time. It's so good. But yeah, I love the idea of just Link changing, and I'm a big Young Link guy, so Young Link's in this the entire time, so that's a big thing for me. Some of the quests, did any of the quests stand out for you guys? Some of the side quests that you could do?
The couple's mask.
Yes, I was
Yeah.
about to say that one. That's like one of my favorite ones.
I want to mention specifically for that one. Apparently, what happened is that all of the people that were working on this game, the moon is literally Ocarina of Time, and all of them are like, "Oh my god, we have 1 year to release a game," and they were all just like, we got the critical acclaim for Ocarina of Time, and we have a year to do a follow up." Anyways, one of the designers was getting married, and all of them were still stressed out about work, and they're like, "Dude, why are we going to this wedding? Do you realize how much work we have?" And then they realized while they were at the wedding and they were having fun, they're like, "Oh my god, I got it. We have to put this in the game." So there you go.
That's awesome.
Continue, Sean. Where are you going?
Oh no, I was wanted to hear what you guys thought about some of the side quests. Just overall, like I thought the whole design, the fact that they did this on the N64, like this whole idea of time travel and all these different quests, and if you miss, if you're further in the game, if you're like further in the time, you miss a quest. I thought that was they really pushed the N64 to the limit.
I mean, they pushed through the limit. They pushed more of a limit. They added more ramp for it.
Yeah. It very much so reminds me of when you look at, for example, you look at the PS3, like an early PS3 game, and then you look at Grand Theft Auto 5, and like it's running on the same console. It's crazy to think that Majora's Mask ran on the N64.
Well, we mentioned before the instruments, like we talked about how we love the
You're
ocarina
beating
and
me
how
to
this
it.
moved on
Yup.
through all the games.
Yup.
I just want to
Yup.
just shout out that all
Hell
the
yeah.
transformations had their own instruments.
Yup.
It was just so good.
The
The
Goron
Zora
drums.
rock guitar, awesome.
Oh, dude. Like, I am. Okay, now, I think one of the other things that annoys me sometimes is whenever you hear music and they just literally rip it and there's no re rendition. I love that every single Majora's Mask song basically has a different rendition according to the different instrument that you could play. Oh my god, I love it. I'm gonna go ahead and just start. Majora's Mask is peak Weirdo Zelda. It is peak Weirdo Zelda. It literally opens, and what is this? This is actually probably the first like direct sequel, right? Because like, is Link's Awakening a sequel? Oh, what? You're fine. Fine. Does anyone think about Zelda 1 and 2? If you do, please go get your colon checked, okay? It's time. It's that time again. Um, So, Majora's Mask, just having it open, and it has, like, that's the thing. I played this on 3DS. Like, even playing it on 3DS, like, it just has kind of this opening where it just slowly creeps in on you. Compared to the opening of Ocarina, where it's like big and bombastic, and it's like, oh my god, what is this? Very moody, you're confused. Ganon shows up on a horse, oh my god, you're done. And then you got the Great Deku Tree, just like, Navi, some bad shit's going on. Anyways, you compare that to Majora's Mask, and it's just this very quiet look. You got some text on screen, like, don't worry, Ocarina of Time happened. Link is now looking for Navi. And then it's just this quiet month. You see Skull Kid, and then literally in like the first hour, Skull Kid kills your horse. He fucking kills Epona. Like, that is the moment I was like, I need you fucking dead, and I will wear as many painful masks as it takes to make sure you are fucking dead. I'm not gonna say anything else there because, look, man, this is a game that you just go into. The first 3-day cycle in Majora's Mask might be one of the greatest openings in any single video game, because that is a feeling that you will never get again. That feeling of like, oh my god, the moon is literally gonna fall. You threw me into this world and I don't even know where to go. Oh my god, why are we doing this? Why are we here? And then you get to the end of the 3 days, and then you fight Skull Kid. You're like, oh my god, where's this game even going? It is literally about to end. The ocarina drops, you reset back to the beginning, and you're just standing there like, I'm gonna have to do that again, aren't I? It is just such, oh my god, this little dark feeling that's underneath everything in Majora's Mask. The fact that, like, every single character, oh my god, I love that their dialogue changes throughout the days. You got people that are just straight up denying it on the first day, like, the moon's not gonna fall. And then you get to the final 6 hours and they're sitting there with their family. They're like, I'm an idiot. Why did I do this? I built an entire construction site and then now we're all gonna die. I love that. The Termina is perfect. Termina is perfect. Clocktown, like the way that all of this design is packed into this tiny little area. Like the exploration in this game is insane, because you just, everywhere you go, you're like, am I too early? Am I too late? Sometimes you get it at the right time, and you just start digging in from there. You start figuring out these people's schedules. It is the game that makes every single character that you meet the most important one at some point, and that's something special because it gives everything meaning. You have 3 days, and you have to make it count. The dungeons, there are only 4 dungeons, but all of these are bangers. I would much rather you give me less dungeons and me wanting more than giving me too many and be like, you could have cut one of them out. The side quests in this game are the best that they ever been. Just being able to figure it out on your own, just listen to what their problems are as you go through the game, being able to make the connections. Oh, this person's schedule is this person's schedule is that. They don't have a moment where they intersect. I need to be that connection. It's so good, and there's just something that I like, that, like, even though Link is the one that knows that the world is going to end, it is going to end in 3 days, it isn't pointless that even if everything might get destroyed, that you can fulfill the lives of these people, and that's awesome. Majora's Mask is incredible. I love this video game, and I want to replay it on GameCube. I want to see what the original is like. I'm pretty sure it'll probably have a little bit of age, but whatever. I love the vibe of this game so much through the 3DS version that I just can't wait to see what the original one's like.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. I was just so glad that I actually played this. I'm so glad that I didn't, hold on to a lifelong fear of a
Same.
mechanic that is
Same.
nothing. It is really, when it comes down to it, the 3-day thing, it is a mechanic. You have to worry about it, but you do not have to worry about it very hard. I mean,
Dude, that first 3-day
the
cycle,
time that
that's
when
what
you
it is.
slow it down, yeah, It's the only time because once you can slow down the time, it is not an issue at all. Like I was finishing the dungeons with like 2 whole days left, and it's like I was taking my time. It wasn't like I was following a guide or something, I just working through it, figuring it out, and then you still have 2 whole days left. So it's if that has ever been the reason why you didn't play this game, you just need to just let it go and just try it because I promise it will not impact you in a negative way at all.
God, I still can't believe this is in the fourth. God.
Three. It's tied
Three.
for three.
Okay, all right, tied for three. Fine, I'll tell myself that that's better.
Even the thrill of being in a dungeon with the time running out and you're like freaking out, you're like, oh god, I have to finish the dungeon quick. I have to. And then like you run out of time and you're like, no! It's just oh my god, I love this game.
There's also just so many points where like the time does reset, but certain things don't reset when you do it, so it's not like a huge deal. Like, the mechanic basically means you have 3 days to get to the dungeon and open it, and then you have 3 days to do the dungeon. So it's really not that
By
bad.
the way, just brilliant design, because you would think that the way that they just reset the 3 days, it just sort of means at some point you're gonna have to do all 4 dungeons to get to the end of the game. No, the way that they just properly checkpoint this, where it's knowledge that Link keeps from run to run, like it's
Yeah,
oh my god, it's genius. It's terrifying to think that you put that much pressure on these designers in 1 year and they spit out something better. That's terrifying. Like that's I don't ever want to be around those people because I will just feel so inadequate compared to them.
so let's move on to our second number 3 game, which is Sean's going to be excited to talk about. Also had 20 points. That is A Link to the Past, originally on
Woo!
SNES. Sean had it at 1, I had it at 3, and Ed had it at 9.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
All right. All right. A Link to the Past. One of my favorite games of all time. Oh boy. This is the first Zelda game I ever beat. Just from the dungeon design to the 16-bit art style to the exploration of the overworld to the dark world, a whole new basically overworld that you just kind of get thrown into. I was blown away when that happened. I had no idea that was coming. Of course, I was like 4 years old, so that might be why. It took me like months to play this game, months on months on months, and I absolutely loved every minute of it. Shout out, Ed, what you said about Ocarina being that standard Zelda game, that game that is like the baseline for every Zelda game. I feel like without A Link to the Past, we would not have any Zelda game like this.
Yeah.
I just feel that A Link to the Past does everything I want from a Zelda game. It gives you interesting items. It's a world that you want to explore. It's a world that you need to explore in order to succeed. It is just such a good game. From the moment it starts, it's raining, and you're like, "What is going on?" And you come in, and you're already in Hyrule, and you're like, "How?" You're already in the castle, and you're like, "What am I doing already in the castle?" And it's just oh my god, and then just the beat to beat gameplay. I just love every second of this game.
Yeah, I put it high because this is just like we've said the quintessential 2D Zelda game. It does everything right, and you know I would say that no 2D Zelda game has ever been better than this, as our list also would say. So I also, yeah, I just love the art style, the design of this game. The SNES style just like holds up so well, and it's yeah, I don't think any 2D Zelda game has ever come past this.
It took everything that the original Zelda did and just advanced upon it. It took there's so much just like just the variation in the landscape from one area of the map to the other. It set the standard for how we should make Zelda games, and it was awesome. Go on, Ed.
All right. All right. So, Link to the Past. I swear to God, if this game wasn't old, I would have it higher. But it is. The exploration in this game, just because I didn't want to get hit and die and have to get punished with as hard of a punishment as it is for death in this game, I did not want to explore. I just really didn't. I felt like a lot of times the combat is fine. it is fine. It is probably the one that I wanted to interact with the least out of all the Zelda games. The dungeons are all still great. That is, like, that's the thing. It almost is impossible for a Zelda game to have a bad dungeon because the design is so well thought out most of the time that I really like it. But man, I just did not want to explore this overworld like at all. Like it didn't invite me to want to explore. It would be like, ah, there are enemies. I'm good, man. I don't really want to deal with the combat. If I die, like I'm gonna have to worry about a save. Like I'm fine, man. Like I just push through to dungeon to dungeon, and nah, man. A Link to the Past. My God, is this thing so immaculately designed that with age only makes it even more impressive that however old this game is now, that those dungeons still stand up as much as they do. But man, it's just it just needed a little bit. Oh, I believe like it has to be the hardware, or maybe still that old style design
The old style.
well,
Yep.
you're gonna die and it's gonna get punished, but hey, you spent $80 on a cartridge in the '90s, so count how many quarters that is. We gotta milk you out for that.
Oh, for sure. Ed, you really, from the way you described it, I already know you're not gonna play through the original Zelda and really like it a
Oh, I'm
lot.
not. No.
Um, but one thing you did mention was the dungeons, and I really want to focus on just how tremendous the design in the dungeons are and how different they are from each other.
Hmm.
My favorite dungeon in the game is the Ice Palace. I'm a huge fan of Switch puzzles, and the way they do the Switch puzzles in this game is awesome. And it's really when you figure it out, you feel smart. You're like, oh my gosh, I finally figured it out. Also, any game that can make me like the concept of ice is that just goes to show how good of a game it is, because I'm usually one of those people that when you go to an ice world, I'm not a big fan, but the Ice Palace is my favorite Zelda dungeon in any Zelda game.
Oh damn, we're starting to get to that point of the Zelda rankings, man. My favorite dungeon is probably the next one. I'm pretty sure. By the way, next
Yep.
game, I
We'll
mean.
get to that.
Okay, there's one thing I do have to mention that, dude, man, some of these hitboxes get a little weird. Like Link will
I'll
swing
give you
his
that.
sword, and
Yeah.
like imagine if you have someone like northeast of you, right? And you swing your sword, and it just feels like I should be able to hit him. Like Link should be able to hit like an entire arc around him, but like sometimes you swing, and then the game just goes, yeah, but Link didn't really put his entire back into that swing, so he missed. And I'm like, why? Like, I just would like his swing to be wider, and it bothers me. And specifically, I think the Ice Palace. Did the Ice Palace have? No, I think I'm imagining it, but I'm imagining a problem I had in Minish Cap in Links to the Past, but both of them kind of did have it, which is that there will be something passing by. You have to be in this little square next to the boxes. You're looking and you're like, oh, well, I'm safely in there, and then you get hit. I'm like, just I don't know what it is. Maybe it's my own eyes that just I'm a zoomer and I can't handle 2D and my brain's like it's not measuring it right. But like, I don't know,
I think
man.
that has a lot to do with the Super Nintendo. A lot of games dealt with that. Same problem on Super Nintendo.
Like feeling that you're inside an area, you're not like there's a small
Yeah,
pixel that's outside and the game goes, you got hit.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with the hardware.
That's the thing. Most of my measurements are not this like even Minish Cap. No matter how much shit I'm giving it, I still think Minish Cap is good. I just think that the way I'm measuring most of my Zelda games are what annoyed me the most. And Link to the Past, literally making one of the ice rods or fire rods, whichever one it was, an item that's just in the overworld and making it necessary for not just Ganon, the final phase as Ganon was something that I was like, no, no. The thing is that with most Zelda games, the endings to me are like that final moment where it finally solidifies, okay, yeah, I enjoyed this. That's why Skyward Sword ranked as high as it did with me, because that ending is awesome. It made everything in that game worth it. The annoying moments were worth it for that final fight in Skyward Sword. Link to the Past literally just stopping me at the last moment is what just sank so much of it for me, which is going to be something that I know I'm going to argue with you guys about a certain GameCube game in a little bit. But yeah, just Link to the Past is the one that annoyed me the most, but please let's not get it twisted. It is still incredible, and just God, how do you design something that has lasted 3 decades at this point, and it's still just as good as the rest of the series?
I know, it's really impressive. That's why I had to put it so high on my list, because I do love 2D Zelda, and I just feel like this is still, all these years later, the pinnacle of it.
Yeah, I specifically had to still give it over Ocarina because I just had way less frustrations in there, and there's 5 years, 6 years, 7? No, it's 7 years. I think it's been the largest gap between
92 to 98.
Yeah, I think it's the largest gap between mainline Zeldas, and everyone complained about Tears of the Kingdom. Go look at that. Imagine that. But yeah, I just Link to the Past, very good, but the age.
Maybe it'll get a remake one day.
It's called The Link Between Worlds.
The first time I played this game, I will say I did play it on the Game Boy Advance version. That's the one I played.
God, does that one have Link going ha ha ha?
Yeah, I think
God,
so.
That would have been driven insane.
So we're gonna move on now, in the interest of time, to our number 2, which is only 1 point higher. It has 21 points compared to the tie at number 3, which each had 20, and that is Twilight Princess, originally on GameCube/Wii. Ed, you had this 2, I had it 5, and Sean also had it 5.
All right, so originally this was my favorite Zelda game. But again, it was my first one. It was the moment where I was finally old enough as a child to understand what the game wanted me to do. I had played Ocarina of Time on my GameCube. When I got my GameCube, I tried playing it. I did not know how to do the Deku tree at all. And it, honestly, what blows my mind the most, more than anything else, about the Deku tree is that finding out how integral 3D is in that game, and you have to specifically jump through the spider's web. That continuously blows me away even later on. But anyways, the reason I bring that up is that as a child, I was too stupid to understand that. Twilight Princess, I was finally old enough to play it and understand what it wanted from me. Is the opening section very weak? Yes. Is the hunt down for the tears pretty mindless and just it feels like it's time wasty? Yes. But once you were out of the trainer section, that's the thing. I feel like the first 3 dungeons in every Zelda game are like the trainer dungeons. You're kind of getting your feet wet. You're kind of understanding everything that's going on. After the first 3 dungeons in Twilight Princess, this game goes into absolute overdrive. Now, Twilight Princess is the apology tour for Wind Waker. Look, we all like Wind Waker here. Look, it hasn't even been on the list. It's probably going to be the next one. We all like Wind Waker here. But still, it is the apology tour. And it's not only the apology tour by going so hard into traditional Zelda. There are 2 things here that I cannot escape from whenever I think about Twilight Princess, which is Lord of the Rings and Shadow of the Colossus, because let's be honest, there's no way that those 2 things were not influencing the hell out of Twilight Princess. The entire dark aesthetic of it, the way that are they bokoblins? Or are they goblins? Are they just straight up goblins?
They call them bokoblins, but they're
still are bokoblins.
Designed much more like goblins.
Okay, cool. All right, yeah. So they're still bokoblins, but look at them. That is ripped straight from Peter Jackson. Just straight up. The entire look of it, the vibe of it, the music of it, all of it is this is epic. This is what this game is. I love that every single boss fight, after the 3 trainer dungeons, the 3 trainer dungeons probably do it as well, but they don't do it to the same level as every dungeon after, where they give you a boss, you beat it, and you're okay, that was kind of weak. And then the second phase is oh yeah, by the way, everyone at Nintendo played Shadow of the Colossus. Here you fucking go. There's a boss here that is pretty much reminiscent of what would feel almost right in a side world of Shadow of the Colossus. I love Twilight Princess. I love it. And this is where my favorite dungeon is. And Parrott, you being a Spider-Man fan, I fucking knew you were gonna dig this shit. Dude, the Sky Dungeon where you fight a dragon with a double claw shot. Who was the genius man who said, yes, claw shot, one of the best items. What if we give them 2? That man grew up to be Obama.
So amazing.
I'm telling you right now, oh my god, the double claw shots and going back and forth and the rain and oh my god. Even playing this on Wii, I was like, this is epic as hell. I'm 10. And then I played it on Wii U like a couple of years ago, and I was like, holy shit, this is even better than I remember it. By the way, the entire final section where you're chasing down Ganon on your horse, the controls aren't that great, but it's so fucking epic, I don't care. Like, it's so cool, the vibe of it, the Bokoblins chase. Oh my god, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it.
It is definitely the most epic Zelda game. I definitely agree with that.
For sure. The freaking set pieces in this game,
They're insane.
unbelievable.
I totally agree, because I played like a good chunk of this game, like probably like 6 years ago, but I never finished it for some reason. And then I played it like for real, in the last couple of months. And you saying like the first 3 dungeons of the trainer dungeons is very accurate, because they're good. They're not like anything amazing, but once you get past those, like, and the game stops like holding your hand so much, and you get the ability to turn to the wolf at will, this game just becomes absolutely incredible. Like, that dungeon you're talking about with the double claw shot is amazing, but so is the one where you're like making soup. And then so the other one that I was just blown away by is the one where you're going up the tower, and then you unlock the ability to like move a pillar with you, and then you have to bring the pillar back down, so you're just going through the same dungeon again, but reversed.
Genius design.
It's just amazing.
It works forward and backwards. How? Oh my god, this game is so ridiculous, and just I forgot what I was gonna say, but that's fine. Go ahead. Oh my god.
The fact that this game is so beautiful, but at the same time feels so sad, is such an achievement. It is the tone of this game is, like you said, Ed. It took everything. It was just a huge response to Wind Waker, but we love, obviously, like you said, we all love Wind Waker, but we love this game too. It was such a tone shift, and it was so cool. The world is gorgeous, like you said. It definitely has that Lord of the Rings inspiration. One thing that I absolutely found awesome about this game was you could start swinging your sword on Epona. They have combat on Epona.
Oh, dude! Whenever you fight the big fat bokoblin on the Bridge of Eldin, I think it's called, and you have like this entire fight. Oh my god! You beat him, and you have the hero shot of Link on Epona. Oh my god!
Dude, when I played Ghost of Tsushima, right at the beginning of that game, when you're in that, you know what I'm talking about, on the set piece on the bridge.
Yes,
I was like, this is Twilight Princess.
Oh my god, dude!
The Epona stuff, like Ed said, it controls. I'm just gonna say it controls like shit. It's really bad controls.
I'm not gonna say it's shit, but
it does not
that
matter.
Great.
It does not matter.
Yeah.
It's like in that part, it's like fine. Like that Ganon part of the end is like, oh my god, kill me. But it was also just so cool that I did not care. It did not dissuade me at all.
This was the game where they decided, you know what, we're gonna make a movie style Zelda game with set pieces and epic moments. There's just so many epic moments in this game. Also, shout out to some of the dungeons in this game.
God, the dungeons.
God. Like you said, the double claw shot sky dungeon. Unbelievable.
Dude, and that little odd music that's just underneath it to punctuate it with the big, loud, bombastic boss fight. Dude, that is smoking so much Shadow of the Colossus pack. It is fucking insane. Like, just, oh my god. And the other thing, it hasn't been brought up much, but Midna is the best 3D Zelda companion. She 1000% is the best one. This girl just is always annoying you. Like, this is the one where you get to see the progression of a character that has nothing, that she doesn't want to deal with you at all. She's like, I'm going to use you. She literally straight up says, I'm going to use you for my own gains. But through the progression, and you get to see like Link himself, you yourself continuously sacrifice yourself for her. Oh my god, I'm so excited that she ends up liking you because she realizes, oh, Link actually cares. Like, I should probably help him. I just. Oh my god, Twilight Princess, it's like, it makes me so sad that like the first 3 trainer dungeons, like, there's like a lot of tedium. Like, man, imagine if so much of that was tighter. Twilight Princess would be like easy number 1. Easy. Like, just zero question. There's no stopping it. But man, Twilight Princess is just insane. It's insane. I love this game, and it hurts me knowing that you either buy a GameCube copy for $150 or you buy a Wii U copy for $110, which requires you to get a Wii U. Like, just
Shout out to the fact that I still have my GameCube copy, my Wii copy, and my Wii U copy.
oh
Have
yeah,
it
it's
all
on
still.
Wii. Yeah, okay, I guess people can play it that way, but I apologize in advance.
The Wii copy is different though, because Link's left-handed in the game and everything's backwards.
Yeah, and I just kind of don't count the Wii version because, one, you have to deal with a Wii, and like, I don't know, like, if you're gonna
I played
play
it
the
on.
Wii
I
version,
played it.
just play
I
the
originally
GameCube.
played it on GameCube.
Oh god, do you still have your copy?
My GameCube copy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I still have
Oh
my GameCube
boy,
copy. Yeah.
your
Christmas
retirement is set.
Christmas 2006.
God,
Christmas 2006.
that is
Shout out
one.
to shout out to Bill.
That is one that, even though I have it on Wii U, I still want a GameCube copy because of how much I love it. Which, hey, if someone out there wants to sell me Twilight Princess and Four Swords Adventure, contact me. I will lowball you, and then you'll block me.
And if I had a spare copy of Four Swords Adventure and Twilight, I would give them to you, but I cannot give up my original
Sean,
copies.
do not. For the love of God, you've done enough for me. Do not give me your copy.
Yeah.
Oh, and one more thing before we move on. I have to shout out to the Gerudo Desert. Oh my god, I love this area so much. This was
Very cool.
I thought this was such a big area. Like, at the time, I was, this area is huge.
The
And
draw
just
distance is insane.
You riding the hogs. Pardon?
No, I was saying the draw distance is really good. That gives it that good, like,
Yeah.
oh my god, it's expansive as hell.
I couldn't believe I was running on my GameCube. And shout out to, this is where Link's crossbow training, Link's crossbow training takes place in the Gerudo Desert.
Yeah. So it's always going to be iconic.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I think this game could have been higher on my list if the beginning was faster.
I want to mention this just since we're talking about it. The what's called the motion controls for any of the 3DS games, like the Ocarina of Time port, the Majora's Mask port, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, both of those on Wii U, the gyro controls for the aiming are actually really good. So, like, that helps.
Yeah, they're not bad at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. I just want to get that out of the way because, like, I was thinking about the Wii version of Twilight Princess, and the aiming, it was fine. It was fine. But I felt like with the Wii U tablet, like, the gyro on that helped aiming so much.
Before we move on, last thing I'm going to say. So my numbers 3, 4, and 5, Link's Awakening, Oracle of Ages / Seasons, and Twilight Princess, those were all basically interchangeable. Twilight Princess could easily be number 3 for me. Easily.
Yep. Mine could have been a little higher too. I did not really like the wolf at the beginning, but it grew on me. Once it stopped forcing you to be the wolf, then I was into it.
Loved it.
Yeah, like Edwin said before, if this game had a little bit tighter of a beginning, I think this would be easily my favorite. So that will bring us on to number 1, which, obviously you can guess that it is Wind Waker on GameCube. So this is actually interesting because this only has 22 points, while Twilight Princess had 21, and the Link to the Past and Majora's Mask had 20. So it was all very close. But I think what pushed this one ahead is that Sean had it at 2, I had it at 1, and Ed had it at 8. So it is the only game on our list that 2 people had in their top 2. So that's what just pushed it up to number 1. So Ed mentioned this earlier, but this is my Zelda game that I was finally not too stupid to play when I got it. So like I said, Ocarina of Time was my first one, and I played a lot of it, but I never got very far. But when I got Wind Waker like a few years later, this was like, like I said, the one I was actually smart enough to actually be able to play. I think that is why it's always going to have a special place in my heart. I love the cartoony style. I know that at the time there were a lot of people that hated it, but I've always loved it and I will always love it. I just think it ages so beautifully. And I just love the whole look and feel of this game. I like the boat. I know there's people that don't like the boat, but I just love the feeling of sailing the seas and discovering all the islands and the music that plays, and it all like is so perfect to me. And then also, of course, it has the classic dungeons, which I just think are all so good. And I would say that this probably would not have been my number one until the Wii U version came out, which is the one I truly, truly think is the best because it takes all the slight problems with Wind Waker, slight or big problems,
Big.
and then changes them and fixes them to make it so much smoother and better to play.
Yeah, Parrot, I agree with everything you said. Wind Waker is such a special game to me. It was I remember seeing this for the first time and being like, "Oh my god, I can't believe they're making like a cartoon Zelda." And then I realized it was an actual game and I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I remember the day it came out, it was March 2003. I wanted it so bad and we went to Walmart and I didn't get it because they didn't have any copies.
Damn.
And I was like, "What?" And I ended up not getting it till the Christmas of 2003. I know I had to wait a long time. I remember I asked for it for my birthday, but I ended up getting something else for my birthday that I really wanted, and I will never forget booting up for the first time and just falling in love with the art style, the world. Parrot, like you, I really liked the boat design, and it was kind of like before its time. It was very much like an open world game before its time, not like a super open world game, but I just love, this is like one of my favorite links, this style link.
Yep.
The dungeons were really cool. Forsaken Fortress, oh my gosh,
Yep. I was gonna
such a
mention
cool
that.
concept, trying to hide from the guards and not get caught, get thrown back in your cage. I remember playing that dungeon for such a long time, like when I first booted up, for hours, like trying to like figure
Yep.
out how I could avoid enemies. Um and then when you finally get your weapon and you can like just like go back and beat the crap out of them, was awesome. Um, it was very much so like a change it wasn't like a huge change, but to realize that the whole like old Hyrule is just submerged underwater was so cool. And Parrot, I agree with you. The Wii U version takes everything that was like monotonous about the GameCube
Mm-hmm.
version, just does it better.
It lets you sail faster,
Fishing for
right?
chests. I actually really like that concept with the fishing for the chests and just exploring the sea and finding these random islands. So much fun. Such a good game. And yeah, I really wish we could get a proper 3D Zelda in the same art style again. Like that would be really that'd be something I would really dig.
All right, so Wind Waker. I played the Wii U version. I never played the GameCube version. Yeah, no. I don't know what you guys are talking about when you said that they fix things. Yes, did they fix most stuff that I don't even recognize as a problem? Yeah, correct. But this is why it is number 8. All right, again, I am measuring my frustration. You do not tell me Hyrule is underwater. You do not tell me, hey, you need to go fight Ganon. You don't do all this. And then you tell me, hey, you need to go find 8 charts. I'm telling you right now, the GameCube one being in like the low 20 charts, or what is it, high 10s? I don't remember. The fact that it's double digits of charts to find is insane. It might be just one of the things that frustrates me endlessly. That here's the thing, if you've noticed at this point, I feel like the ending of a Zelda game is that fine point where I just go, yeah, that was good. Here's the thing, I was enjoying Wind Waker pretty much the entire time. Like, yeah, this is good. All right, I'm enjoying this. Yeah, all right. And then you hit me with that right after you have like it is I hate to invoke it, but it feels like it's the right one. It is almost Last of Us 2 levels of just cucking you right as soon as you're getting at a really good moment. Like, it bothered me so much that, like, you are at the peak of my emotional involvement and then you just take it away from me. Because you are telling me, hey, Hyrule's underwater, Ganon is out there, take him out, but we need you to do some completely pointless bullshit in the world. It's like, just send me! Just send me to Ganon! I'm ready! King of Red Lions,
Just wants
get me there.
it wants to make sure you're ready.
Ugh!
It was a lot worse than the GameCube one, I will
No,
say.
I know, like it's in the double digits. Okay, now hold on, Sean. Before I let you talk, I have to express why it is so low on my list because again, these are all games I very much enjoy, and it's the moments of frustration that I have to measure them against. Now, let me go ahead and give Wind Waker its flowers, though. God, it's gorgeous. God, the vibe is so good. Oh my god, King of Red Lions is probably second best companion. I love that this man just once you find out he's the king of Hyrule, it just kind of fits. You're like, "Oh, well, the kind of vibe that he gets is almost like a guy who he's like, oh, dude, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm with this child. I'm a fucking boat, and I just had to help him." And I like that he just eventually endears himself to Link because that's what happens whenever you're a companion to Link. You just eventually love the idiot. But like, I really like King of the Red Lions. I like the vibes in the ocean. I don't know what it is about the ocean. I think the ocean is so good that it made me not want to explore because I didn't enjoy the start and stop of hopping islands. I didn't really like stopping to get treasure chests. I just enjoyed traveling long distance across the ocean. So it's a weird one where it's like I enjoy the vibe of this so much I don't want to mess with it and stop anywhere. So again, I'm not really factoring in my lack of want of exploring against it. It's just something that happened with me. But yeah, Wind Waker, vibe as hell, and also it might be one of the sickest Ganon kills. Like Link,
Dude,
like,
I was about to bring that up.
Yeah, dude, Link
Oh my
blocking
gosh.
it and then like double flipping to stab Ganon in the head is sick. Oh my god, it is awesome, and you know damn well that the people at Nintendo were like, dude, it looks like a cartoon. We'll get away with it.
One of the most epic Ganon kills ever. Absolutely fantastic. No, Ed, I definitely, you brought up some really good points about the end of the game having to find all the charts. That can get annoying, especially in the GameCube version. Like we said, it was double digits. But just, I love the exploration of that game so much that didn't really bother me that much.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It is definitely an annoyance. I think it could be paced better, but it was not like a big turnoff for me. In the GameCube one, it definitely was because it was just much more long and tedious. But in the Wii U one, I did not have any issues with it at all. And also in the Wii U one, you can sail just so much easier, which never played the
Swift
GameCube one,
sail.
but that
Shout
also
out to the Swift
helps.
sail.
If they
Yes.
could have just cut it down to 5, I feel like I'd be bitching a lot less. Like, there's for some reason 5 feels like the right. Well, it doesn't feel like the right number. 3 feels like the right number. It's literally the fucking Triforce. It's a
Yep.
Triforce quest. Triforce quest. Are you fucking kidding? It's a Triforce quest. Just make it a multiple of 3. Why? Ugh. Anyways, no, but that's just math dork in me. But like, 5 felt like. If I got to 3 and it didn't end, I'd be like, okay, all right. We get to a 5. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Why is it more than 5? That just, it just feels so much like just padding to make the game longer. It's like, dude, your game is already good enough. You didn't need this.
I just think that even something like that, which I totally acknowledge is a fault of the game, is not enough to dissuade me from the rest of it. I just the look and the feel and the vibe of the game,
Yeah.
like you were
No, yeah,
saying,
totally.
it's just so much to me that I just I'll never not love this game. Shocker, the guy that plays cartoon platformers all the time loves the cartoon Link.
Dude, that's just what it is, man. I think I put so much emphasis on the ending of Zelda games because, like, dude, your Zelda game is not going to be bad enough to filter me out at the beginning. There's no way. So, like, if I know that I get through it and the ending is worth it, I'm so fine. I'm so forgiving of an opening that, like, literally, if you put the star chart as the very first thing, like, Arrow wakes you up, it's like, Link, I need 47 star charts. I'll be like, dude, all right, cool. I'm going to go fucking do this. Happy birthday, bitch. But, like, oh man, like if you put that at the beginning, Wind Waker would bang so much harder, but it's literally just the placement of it. I'm like, oh god, you can't
Yeah.
do this to me.
Yep, I do not disagree at all. I was gotta say, shout out to the Booger Kid. I always think about him.
Oh dude, by the way, like my profile picture is Link looking completely exhausted at the very beginning of Wind Waker, and I'm just gonna tell you right now, that's my soul right there. That's my fucking soul. All right, so as a very quick impulsive thing, What is your favorite Link? Go! I'm gonna say that my favorite Link is gonna be Majora's Mask because of course it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Wind Waker Link.
Of course you are.
Wind Waker Link. Wind Waker Link.
Very quick, very quick.
I just love that cartoony style. Is just so amazing to me, especially in the Wii U version, like the HD version. Oh my god, it's nothing can top it.
Wind Waker Link and Skyward Sword Link are probably the Links with the most amount of personality.
Yep.
Definitely for sure.
Yep. Wind Waker Link has so many like amazing just facial reactions.
The countdown for 3 before they throw him into the fortress.
Minish Cap Link has a lot of reactions too.
Yep. I also say Zelda in Wind Waker, much more badass take on the character than usually. So that's also get some bonus points for me.
I still think that I dig Girl Next Door Zelda from Skyward Sword. Like, I think she might be my favorite one.
From what I played, it was actually pretty good. I enjoyed it as well. Enjoyed her in that as well.
Sean, favorite Zelda?
Link to the Past.
Ooh, very traditional. Okay, so we already got your favorite dungeon. Parrott, what's your favorite dungeon?
God, I honestly might say the climbing the tower and going back down in
Twilight Princess.
Twilight Princess. I think that's my favorite. I don't know the name off the top of my head, but I think that's probably my favorite. That's the one that sticks out to me, though.
All right,
immensely.
So one more favorite Zelda track. I'm going with Great Fairy Fountain, specifically Skyward Sword.
Ooh.
I might just say like the sailing song from Wind Waker.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
Oh my gosh, that is pretty awesome.
Sean, how are you not going to choose the opening track to Link to the Past with All the Rain?
I probably it's a tie between that and Clocktown.
God, you're right. Oh, that's so. Wait, yeah. Day 3 specifically. Ooh, boy, we're cooking. Shout out
the third
to
one
the final
is
6
so
hours.
Fast paced.
Oh, dude, and the undertones of the bass underneath it. Ooh, boy. That impending doom underneath it. But yeah, also shout out to the final 6 hours track of Majora's Mask. That, oh my god, it's so dire. I love it.
We could probably do a whole series of top 10s one day.
Oh yeah,
top 10 dungeons, top 10 songs.
We just had to rapid fire some of these because I'm pretty sure we're running out of time. But dude, we got to get that out.
We could do top 10 Minish Cap moments just for Edwin. That's what we'll
top 1 when the game ends.
All right. Well, so with that, we will wrap it up. I'll quickly repeat our top 10: Wind Waker 1, Twilight Princess 2, Majora's Mask 3A, A Link to the Past 3B, Link's Awakening 5, Ocarina of Time 6, Breath of the Wild 7, Minish Cap 8, Oracle of Seasons/Ages 9, and A Link Between Worlds 10. So if you have any issues with that list, feel free to message us on the Discord. Just try to, make sure you know who you need to tag to complain about it, because we did our best for some of these,
All my complaints, forward them to any passive comment section on YouTube.
Perfect. So thank you both for joining me. I am sure you will both be back on many more times as the episodes go on. So until next time, we will see you all later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.